get better times.
Yeah, so. Yeah. She's got a brace on it for now. She's been icing it and it helps.
That's good. I got a happy memory. You know?
Other than that, we had a great time.
That's good. That's good.
So where'd you go, Wayne?
Welcome to the City Council meeting Tuesday, September 24, 2024. Please join me in prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serve in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for your direction, which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessings on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, please, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Scott.
Here.
Vice Chair Yem.
Here.
Councilor Belanger.
Here.
Councilor Chow.
Here.
Councilor Dakota.
Here.
Councilor Getchia.
Here.
Councilor Janess.
Here.
Councilor Mercier.
Here.
Councilor Noon.
Here.
Councilor Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Rook. 10 present.
Thank you. Any moment of silence? Yes, Councilor Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Philip A. Donahue, beloved son, brother, uncle, and friend. Philip was the 10th of 11 children of Richard K. Donahue, who predeceased him, and Nancy L. Donahue. Philip was born on December 25th, 1968, at 10:10, a time that he always referred to as his birthday, first and foremost, and then Christmas. To his family, friends, acquaintances, and even strangers, he was a very special Christmas gift. Although he was born with Down syndrome, what he lacked in intellectual abilities, he more than made up for it with his social skills and keen insight of human nature. And I think everyone here can attest to that. Philip was a fearless public speaker and could be easily goaded into saying a few words with the chant of speech, 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 or commented from a distance would find themselves inserted into his remarks. His go-to stump speech was always the importance of loving one another and the importance of family. He practiced karate for many years, and with hard work and persistence, he achieved his black belt. A favorite pastime was going out to breakfast on Sunday mornings with his brother Daniel, where he enjoyed his favorite French toast or pancakes. Philip was educated in the Lowell Public School Special Education Program. There he met and made many longtime friends. He went on to the Greater Lowell Vocational Technical High School, where he graduated in 1991. Following graduation, he held several jobs, including his very first job as a mail clerk at the James L. Cooney Insurance Agency, light maintenance at the Chelmsford Racquetball Club, and as a dishwasher at his brother's restaurant, Hughes. It was when he started at Market Basket in the Tewksbury location, Store 8, that he found his true career as a customer service representative of Bagger. And every time I went there, he screamed my name to the top of his lungs. He was a dear, dear friend. At Market Basket, Philip found a welcoming workplace and a supportive employer. He was a proud Market Basket employee for 27 years. In fact, the second most important date on his calendar, indicating another year of service at the store. Whether he was on the schedule or not, on June 19th, he would make his way to the store for his new badge. He loved his bosses, his co-workers, and his customers. Often when he was out and about, he would wave to someone or say hello, and when asked who he was greeting, he would say, "A good customer." Market Basket was his second home. He couldn't have asked for a better family. In addition to his job, Philip was active volunteer and client board representative at the Recreational Adult Resource Association, RARA organization, where he spent many hours dancing and laughing with his friends. He was also on the board of the Massachusetts Down Syndrome Congress, MDSC, where he served as a member representative to the board. He would attend the meetings dressed in a suit coat and tie and carry a briefcase, emulating his father. He was a fierce advocate for people with disabilities, and he used his sincerity and winning personality to that end. He was a regular participant in the MDSC Buddy Walk fundraiser. Philip is survived by his sisters Abigail, Nancy, Tara, Alicia, and his brothers Timothy, Michael, Richard, Christopher, Daniel, and Stephen. He was predeceased by Attilia Castro, who lived with the family for many years and who was completely devoted for Philip. We offer our sympathy to the family, and may he rest in peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Counselor, and may he rest in peace. In the meantime, I'd like to also, condolences to the mayor of the city of Methuen, who passed away recently as well. So may he rest in peace. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, dim the light. Two, mayor business. 2.1, communication remote Zoom participation. Motion to accept and place on file by Councillor Janess and second by Councillor Chow. 3, city clerk. 3.1, minutes of the city council meeting September 10. Motion to accept and place on file by Councillor Robinson and second by Councillor Scott. 4, city council motions.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes,
If we
that's
could ask for a suspension of the rules to take up informational report 5.2 on the ICC family shelter. I believe there's some people here to speak.
okay. Councillor,
If I
Councilor
have no
Dakota.
problem if you want to do all 5.2, that's not a problem either.
let's do that. Let's 5.2 informational report. Information report by Lowell ICC EA family shelter. I need a
Vice-
second.
I second the motion.
Second by Councillor Gitchiers. Thank you. We have a speaker here who want to, yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Manager, if you could introduce us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Through to the councils, we do have folks from the CCA that are responsible for the Lowell ICC that are here to speak tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and good evening. My name is Lauren Easton. I am the Senior Vice President of Clinical Innovation at Commonwealth Care Alliance. I want to thank the Mayor, the Vice Mayor, Paul Yem, the council members, Tom Golden and Sean Machado for inviting me here tonight to speak. First, before I start my presentation on the ICC, I would like to give you a little bit of an overview and introduction to Commonwealth Care Alliance. Commonwealth Care Alliance goes back about 4 decades, starting as a primary care practice in Boston, serving individuals with physical disability as well as developmental disability. We formally established our health plan and care delivery services in 2003 as a provider for individuals that both have benefits from Medicaid and Medicare, serving individuals with disabilities as well as frail elders. We serve about 55,000 members across the state of Massachusetts. We provide services stemming from coordinating care, care management, care delivery, primary care, behavioral health, and address social determinants through our community health workers and an interdisciplinary team that all our members have access to. We've had a long history with the state of Massachusetts for many, many years. We enhanced our relationship with the state in 2020 when the pandemic hit. The state approached CCA, given our experience with vulnerable populations, coordinating healthcare and delivering healthcare services, to ask us to oversee what we refer to as the isolation and recovery sites that we helped to design and partner with the state to oversee about 6 hotels serving, in the end, 6,000 individuals that were homeless and tested positive for COVID. Generally, they stayed with us for about a 10-day period, adhering to the state's rules around healthcare. But we offered, again, integrated services. We offered nursing, we offered behavioral health services, we offered substance use services during their stay. In addition to the isolation recovery sites, the state again approached us and asked us to be one of the solutions for mass and CAS, individuals that were living in tents in Boston with very complex medical, psychiatric, and substance use services. We quickly pivoted and helped to develop what we refer to as a cottage community, with a 22-bed community serving individuals with complex medical and substance use issues. And that brings us to today. A year ago, the state approached us to oversee emergency shelters and shelters that served families that have migrated, U.S. citizens. And today, we currently serve 10 hotels across the state of Massachusetts, serving over 3,500 individuals. We have been able to, over the course of 1 year, we have been able to transition 100 individuals to permanent housing. We've been able to support 1,000 people to get work permits and social security numbers. We have supported 500 individuals in getting employment. And we've also enrolled 500 kids in school programs. In terms of our family shelter experience, CCA brings a unique model of care to all of our shelters. We aligned with our mission and thinking about an integrated care approach. Not only are we looking for housing and prioritizing housing, we're also offering individuals medical care, behavioral health care, addressing safety and security at our family shelters, looking at coordinating legal support, ensuring that people have immigration support, access to work permits, immigration services, and again, prioritizing school and permanent housing. In terms of the Lowell ICC shelter, we are so happy to be in your community, and thank you for welcoming us. The entire community has welcomed CCA as well as the residents that live there. We have partnered with the state, and the state contracts with the ICC directly for the facility, and we are a vendor of the state serving as the provider. I know that many questions have come up around the length of stay and individuals transitioning, how long that we will be at the ICC, as well as individuals that reach their time frame in terms of length of stay. If they do not have permanent housing, where do they go? The state is working on this, and we would like to have you question the state around that. As a partner to them, we are working closely with them, but again, working on the length of stay as well as transitioning folks out. The ICC currently is serving over 200 families and over 675 individuals. We have 382 adults and 258 children. 82% of our folks are Haitian, 5% Dominican, 2% US citizens, but mostly speaking Haitian Creole. We make an effort to ensure that we are hiring individuals that are bilingual, so 80% of our staff are bilingual. We have successfully, with the support of the school, your school system, enrolled 125 children in the school and 52 children in daycare. Again, we have been so grateful for the school's support in coming to the actual site to enroll folks, and also the local health department for coming to the site and helping to ensure that all kids are vaccinated. We've also been able to help 201 residents get employment, and that includes the local community. The community has been tremendous in offering individuals jobs. And we've also been able to support 278 residents at the ICC with work permits. Just a little bit more about the services that we offer at the shelter. Again, always aligning with our mission, focusing on healthcare, behavioral health, social determinants, and housing. We offer five days a week of care management. We have care coordinators that support our individuals that support about a 1:15 ratio. We have 7 days a week, we have nursing on site. We really see this as an important, significant part of our model, where over the course of our time at the ICC, we've had a decrease in individuals utilizing the emergency department and utilizing 911 calls unnecessarily. We have 24/7 security on site at all times. We have 4 security guards in order to maintain the safety of both the community and the residents. The individuals are served 3 culturally appropriate meals per day. We have Aramark is our vendor, and they have been an incredible partner in both the facility management as well as the meal preparation. Again, our care coordinators and our housing teams, including CTI, a partner in the community, offer services to ensure we're getting linkages to permanent housing. And as I have said over and over again, to healthcare, food, assistance in schools, and work permits. I also want to highlight the strong partnership we've had with the City of Lowell. It's been a tremendously strong, welcoming partner, starting with a presentation with Tom Golden and then weekly meetings with Sean Machado, the chief of police, the chief of fire, the DPH and local health services. It's just been tremendous to be able to have that support, collaborate with the municipality, and be able to communicate where we can enhance, where we can make a difference in the community. When we started in the community, the transportation department let us know that they were establishing a special transit route that would go through the ICC to support our residents. In addition, they hired a Haitian Creole speaking driver. The public health department, as I said, has come on site to provide vaccinations, not only just for our kids, but TB clinics, COVID tests. It's just been, again, an incredible collaboration. The police department have provided holiday toy donations. They've assisted overnight transport of families. They've collaborated with our security team to ensure, again, the safety of our residents and the community. And in our weekly meetings, we talk about any issues that have come up over the course of the week. The fire department has been incredible in educating not only our residents, but our staff in fire safety and evacuation strategies for families. They've also offered trainings and education both in Haitian Creole and Spanish. Again, an incredible collaboration. The public schools, the early ed department runs parent-child play groups, and also talks about transportation with us, talks about any issues. They are in constant communication with our staff. As families either transition in or transition out, we are in constant communication with Lowell Public Schools to talk about getting kids enrolled. So we can't thank Lowell as a community enough for their strong and welcoming partnership. There are so many organizations, small and large, that have, again, been wonderful partners, but I do want to highlight some of the larger partnerships. Lowell General Hospital, we have many, many women who are pregnant or have had babies. They've been incredible in the maternity and emergency care. Lowell Community Health Center has, from day one, they have been a partner in setting up primary care clinics, working with us to ensure that people have access to primary care, and in fact have hired a Haitian speaking coordinator for care in partnership with CCA. The Institute of New England, they come on site to provide immigration, legal aid, work authorization, and asylum applications. Mass Hire, Lowell Career Center, comes on to work with our residents around resume building, interviewing skills, job training, and looking for jobs. Community Teamwork, from day one, again, helped us with community integration, initial referrals, and they're now helping us with housing and long-term permanent housing searches. So again, cannot say enough about the welcoming partnership this community has offered us. So these are just a couple of highlights about the community and welcoming the families that we serve. Some of you may remember the Haitian flag raising ceremony celebrations at Lowell City Hall on May 17th. Middlesex Community College, they've offered and hosted graduation ceremonies for students that have gone. Lowell Public Schools hosted English classes during the spring. A shelter resident works at Lowell Public Schools. Aramark, who is our subcontractor for facilities and meals, has actually hired 6 residents in their dining room and kitchen. The Bike Connector has offered free bikes and build your bike workshops, and YWCA has offered scholarships for our kids. So just in closing remarks, I just wanted to talk about one family that really encapsulates what I see as the independence, the motivation, really the desire of what these families want. And when they enter the shelter, they want to find permanent housing. They want to work. And the incredible resilience of the journey that they have come through really just shines through this particular story. There was a gentleman who was a family that was located in Chelsea who moved to the ICC because of the consolidation of sites. He had a job in Chelsea and understood that he did have to move to Lowell. He took public transport every single day. He was working at a shelter in Chelsea. There was some type of glitch in his work permit. His case manager helped him to solve that issue with the work permit, but he continued to go every single day to his job. Independently, in addition to the work with his case manager, he was trying to figure out his work permit, but again, would not give up his job, and he was allowed to continue his work. Today, he has moved into a 3-bedroom apartment in Chelsea and continues to work in the system. I think it really exemplifies the resilience and motivation of our residents, as well as the model that we are offering our residents. That's all I have for today, and would welcome questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I want to thank you for the presentation. I did have a question concerning one of your PowerPoint slides here. It said jobs, 201 residents employed, 278 residents with work permits. Of the 201 that are working, are they working part-time? Are they working full-time? How are they getting to work? Are they all working in Lowell, or how are they getting to work?
Sure. So many of our residents do work full-time, and we do have residents that work part-time as well. But I would say for the majority of our residents, they are working full-time. They use public transportation to get to work. Many of our residents have actually now bought cars and have cars on site. And sorry, your third question.
No, I think you answered the questions. Concerning, I'm not trying to get into their personal finances, but when they are working full-time, are they able to use the money any way they want, or is CCA to say, we're going to help you save so you can help, try to get an apartment or that type of thing?
It's a great question. We also are working with the local banks. They have come on site to start educating our families in terms of savings and checking accounts and understanding what it looks like to save for permanent housing. And CCA also does training and education in that as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janess, sorry.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I just want to say thank you very much for being here tonight and filling us in on what you and your team are working on, and for all the efforts that you have put forth to help these residents adjust to their new life here. I can't imagine what it's like to flee a country and end up somewhere where you know no one and you don't speak the language. And so to have a team like yours in place to help people get adjusted, to get the ability to work, to get their kids enrolled in school is a great thing. And so just thank you for your work there. The only question I have is probably better targeted at the state, which is just, I know when the agreement to use the ICC was signed, it was a 1-year deal with an option for a 2nd year, and I just didn't know where that option sat. But that's probably not something that CCA is going to decide, but it may be something that you know.
Yeah, I think the state is working through that, so that is a very good question for the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Scott, and then Councilor Robinson. And then
Thank you.
Councilor Noon.
I'd also like to thank you for the work that you're doing. I just have a question kind of building on what Councilor Dakota had asked. Obviously, the goal is permanent housing. And I saw that right now it says that 4 families have exited to permanent housing. So right now, what is the work that's happening as far as English instruction, driver's license instruction? Like, is that part of the work that's happening?
Yeah, so we have ESL come on site for both for adults and for children. So English as a second language classes are held on site as well as off site. So we offer it on site, but they also have access to English as a second language off site. So absolutely working on that with families. And in terms of driver's license, we certainly support individuals if they want to apply for a driver's license or give them the resources for driver's ed. And working through getting a permit.
Okay, so they're being provided all that information
Absolutely.
by CCA. Okay, thank you.
Through CCA and their case managers, yes.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say thank you for the presentation. I think it's great to see in such a short window of time so many resources being rolled out to assist people in this transition. Couple things. I love the fact that, Aramark hired 6, because I know food-wise, coming from your own country, you're not familiar with a lot of the food that's being presented, and that can be a challenge. So it's good to see that they're adapting the cuisine for the people, something they're comfortable with. As far as the jobs go, I see 278 residents with work permits. I'm not sure if it's been explored yet, but I know one area in particular, they're always looking for additional help, are the trades. And we have a lot of trades in this area, whether it's the laborers, the iron workers. There's many trades that are constantly looking for women, men, all different. So I mean, that might be something to try to begin conversations around too, because they're always looking to recruit for like apprenticeships, expose people, and they have their own training facilities as far as all the OSHA certifications and requirements leading up to full-fledged union membership. So I know that's in high demand right now with a lot of development projects in the works in the Merrimack Valley and beyond. So I think that might be somewhere to look. I also think that it's great to see that the LRTA, that's, I knew nothing about that, to see what a great community partner. I mean, time and time again, whether it's working with this organization and this group of people, or whether it's the youth of the city or the seniors trying to get them up to the beach, I think time and time again, LRTA has stepped up and answered that call, and I'm glad to see, and thank you for putting all these organizations and resources together and continuing to help these people better their lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you,
I'll
Councillor.
certainly bring that back to our
Councillor
site
Noon.
about the job opportunities. I very much appreciate that recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Thank you for the presentation, Ms. Easton. I know that day one, when we heard of migrants coming, a lot of us was concerned about how are we going to coordinate our team together, but Lowell has always been come true. It's a welcome city, ranging from the managers and this organization that you mentioned, CTI, Mass High, Lowell General, Local Community Health, and much more. So I too do concern about, at first we said 1 year, and now we extended to a second year. What's going to happen at some point? I'm sure it's out of your control, but if you can share with us at a later time, when you learn of what's going to happen after a year two. And you mentioned as well the number of residents that have work permit. What happened to those that does not have work permit? Are they in the process of waiting to get a work permit? What plan do you have to push them into the workforce so that they can be, self-sufficient, so to speak, at some point down the road?
Yeah, so yes, I appreciate your comments about the 1 to 2 year. And again, I will certainly ask you to talk with the state about that. But we're here as a partner to the state, and we'll be here as long as they would like us to provide services. We intend to remain a partner with the state for as long as they want us to provide services. So thank you for that. In terms of work permits, we are working with every single resident to obtain work permits. IINE and other legal services are supporting us in doing that as partners as well. And I would say all of our residents are looking to work, and all of our residents are looking for housing, so they're very motivated. I don't think I have heard from any of our site managers at every site, and at our site at Lowell, we have 3 site managers that oversee all of the vendors and all of our case managers. I haven't heard of residents that are not motivated to work and get a work permit. They're very motivated.
Yeah. You have here 205 family. I know that a lot of those families have children and teenagers, and they need a playground to play. I heard of express concern of safety. Mm-hmm. You mentioned safety, working with the police, you have security there and all that. That's a great thing. But playground for those children and teenagers to play, oftentimes soccer. I heard that the concern is that they're using the garage as their soccer field. It concerns me because, you have children, you have students there, MCC, Middlesex Community College, and other who are parked at that, parking lot that may back their car, maybe accident can happen. What plan do you have, working either with the city, whoever that you work with, to have a playground so maybe transport those young people to and from the playground? Any plan on that?
Thank you. I agree. It is concerning to see kids playing soccer in a garage. So we have addressed that. We've addressed that both with our security team to ensure that the kids are not playing in the garage and encourage families and educate families around the importance of safety and not having the kids playing in the garage, number one. I think the second thing I would say is working with Sean Machado and others, the YWCA has offered scholarships and for camp and after school. So we're encouraging families to utilize that as one of the resources. So again, another great community partner. There is a small outdoor space at the ICC that the kids can be out. So we're encouraging families to utilize that as well. Right. Our site managers have community meetings, and again, we utilize that to talk about safety, security, actually our food as well, but consistently educating our families around the safety of the kids.
I thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Assistant City Manager Machado want to chime in.
Counselor, Lauren, I just want to correct you. It's not the YMCA, it's the Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you.
I got the folks in touch with Joe Hungler, and they set up a meeting, and we're doing some kind of play group or getting the kids to the Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
In addition, the YWCA has also offered scholarships, so thank you.
Councilor Chow, you still want to make comments?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, and thank you also for making the presentation. I'm pleasantly surprised to see the statistics. It sounds like they are adjusting very well and pretty fast in a short amount of time. I'm speaking from both personal experience and my connection with other immigrant communities in the past. They have received job trainings already, they got jobs already, they graduated from a few educational programs. My question is on the children who are at schools, how are they doing? If you could elaborate on that, are they adjusting well? I don't know if they already spoken English. What is percentage of them speaking English already when they arrive? Are they treating for mental health? If you could elaborate how the children are doing, that would be great. And if you have a baseline of comparing this particular group to other immigrant experience in the past, because like I said, they seem to be adjusting fairly well and quickly in a short period of time.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like the families have really adjusted quite quickly in a short period of time. And overall, from the superintendent of schools, we've had very positive feedback about how the children have adjusted to school. They certainly come with some of their issues from their journey. They've certainly had some trauma in their lives and the journeys that they've experienced to get here. So we're working closely with the school. If there's any observation about any behavioral health issues or trauma-related issues, we do offer integrated behavioral health services on site and as outpatient. We'll support individuals getting, children and families getting the support they need for mental health issues. But overall, I would say the feedback that we have received from the superintendent and assistant superintendent has been positive. I think we have case managers on site very early in the morning to ensure that families understand the importance of getting the kids on the bus on time and to school on time, as well as on site after school to ensure they're at the bus stop or waiting for their children. So in any issues that have come up, which have been very few, the school reaches out directly to our I'm pointing over here because our site managers are here, but directly to our site managers. There is probably daily communication between the school and the site.
Thank you. Has there been any incident yet of children experiencing any mental health issues that your office had to be called upon to deal with it directly, or?
I would say overall, as more so as families, we have offered behavioral health support. I would, in terms of an acute crisis, we have not seen children have an acute crisis. But certainly, if we observe anything, that we will offer the support. But in terms of an acute emergent crisis, we have not seen that in our children.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kitchir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just thank you for the presentation. I think there's a lot of information that you've given that we have to digest, so I think it's important to see a lot of it. One question is, do any of the local banks or anybody offer them like personal finance courses or anything like that? Because as they start getting jobs and they start getting income, are there readily available services for personal finance so that they can understand, where they're going with their funding and what it means?
The bank has, we have coordinated, and I apologize, I can't remember which bank it was, but we have coordinated with a bank that has come on site to do education around finances and long-term planning, and again, specific to, how do we get to your goal of permanent housing, but also more long-term planning. So we have had one bank that has partnered with us, and I think they will continue to come back on site to offer classes.
Are there goals within the state guidelines that say if somebody meets this certain financial threshold and they have to move on and now put somebody else in those?
I think that's a question for the state. I don't have those exact guidelines.
So do you think there is something in place? Because it seems like, if you went out to buy a car, when you say buy a car, everybody in here has a different opinion on what a car is. And, it can be very easily taken advantage of when you're purchasing something like that. So that's kind of what I'm wondering, if you're spending, 60% of your paycheck on a vehicle to get somewhere, or is it you can spend 20% on it to get to the same place? So that's really what I'm just wondering in the finance end, and does the state step in and say, look, we're going to try to monitor your personal finances so we can understand, yes, you don't need this type of car today, but if you get this one, you can get to a better place. And I'm just wondering if they step in and say, okay, there's a personal finance aspect to it, that's all.
Again, I think I do have to defer that to the state. I'm not familiar with the guidelines, so I'd have to defer that question to the state.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question, comment? Councilor Robinson?
Just real quick, who would be the point person, or how could at least a conversation between any interested trades, and who would they need to contact to begin those discussions?
Absolutely. We have 3 site managers on site, so they would be the point of contact.
Would you be able to share that information with the council?
Yeah, I can share that with Sean.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Counselor, I have that information. I can get that to you.
Excellent. Thank you.
In
Thank
the
you.
bank, Counselor Gitchia, the bank that you were referencing is St. Jean D'Arc Credit Union.
Yeah, I just think that on my end, my thought process is, are they looking at it as percentage of your paycheck to get from A to B as transportation, or is it percentage of your paycheck that it has to be a luxury piece to get to there? And is there a finance piece that the state watches and says, okay, this is how much you should be spending on transportation? Because obviously you have to teach that, and even all of us who grew up here can't even learn that piece. So it's something that I was wondering, is there an education piece to this to say, here's how to gain wealth and gain those pieces to get to the next level in life, that's all.
Thank you. Councilor Robinson, you still want to make comment? Are you all done? Councilor Scott?
Just one more quick question, sorry. I'm just curious, how many students, like what percentage, have the majority of families chosen to enroll their children in Lowell Public Schools, or are they still choosing to transport back to their sending district where they came from originally?
We have 125 kids enrolled in the schools, and now that the individuals that moved in January and then June, now that the summer has gone through, the majority are enrolling in Lowell.
Majority have chosen to enroll in Lowell?
Yeah.
Okay, I know that they're eligible to still under McKinney-Vento, correct, to go to their sending district originally?
Yes.
So that's good that they've chosen to enroll in Lowell Public Schools. And I would concur with Councilor Gitcher as far as possible, maybe it's outside your purview, but some type of financial literacy program, whether it's through CTI, like I know that they offer programming. I think that would be really helpful for them. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will encourage our site managers to continue the collaboration with the bank as well as CTI. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Belanger?
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. I do want to thank representatives from CCA for coming in this evening and educating this council on this such an impressive array of services for these individuals that are integrating in our community, and not only easing the concerns of this council, but a lot of the residents who are at home viewing were very concerned as well, and I think they're very much at ease as well after this presentation. But not too many questions. My colleagues were very thorough. But with all this going on, and with nearly 700 residents integrating in our community, so through you to the Vice Mayor, to the manager, it's my understanding that with all this going on, that there's very, very little issues with public safety, that things very peaceful in that building. And those are also concerns of residents at the time that I was always confronted with as well. So, Mr. Manager, could you confirm that, please?
Assistant City Manager Machado.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So in the beginning, we had a lot of calls with kids pulling fire alarms. CCA made an adjustment and put some kind of guard over the fire alarms. The police calls, there were a couple of domestic calls and a few minor incidents, but all in all, it's been pretty quiet over there. There hasn't been many issues. I feel like we've answered the pulling of the fire alarms over there.
Yep.
But yeah, it's
Because
I feel like
there
it's
are
going
residents,
pretty well.
that is a neighborhood, thank you, Mr. Assistant City Manager Machado. You know, there are butters in that neighborhood who had these concerns as well, and yeah, it's been going great, it really has. So thank you again for coming in, and Mr. Manager, to you and your administration, thank you for the partnership that you've been giving this entity. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor, unless you still want to make comment?
Yes, just a quick question. Thank you. Through you to the manager, I just wanted to ask if you could please reach out to the state just to get an update from them on what their plans are going forward, whether they're going to renew the lease, just so we can all be on the same page. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Thank you, the people from CCA. I am very impressed with that. Thank you for your presentation. It's nice to know that people weren't just brought here and abandoned, that people are taking and nurturing them so that they have goals and someone cares for them. So your organization does that, and we're very proud. I want to say that I've been out and about in the city in that particular area. I go through the ICC area quite a bit, and I see them, people that live there that are residents, out and about with their families and their babies, and it's just amazing. They're very, very respectful people. They watch the traffic pattern, and they're very respectful, and they seem like wonderful people, and I just want to express that I have seen that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dakota. You want to?
I'm sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to belabor the issue, but if I have a scenario where one person is working full-time, 40 hours times, what's minimum wage, $15 now? So that's 600, you're taking home $450. Is the state saying that we're going to take some of this money and take it back, or they can do whatever they want with that $450?
Again, I'm not familiar with the state's guidelines around.
City Manager, can you help with that? Because I'd like to know whether we have any parameters here, because then we have some people who are not working at all. I'm not saying because they don't want to or they're not getting the jobs, but if we have 201 people working permanent 40-hour jobs, that means they're making at least minimum wage, I would imagine. Where does this money allocated?
Mr. Manager, you want to respond?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, I'll find out those two questions. As to
Appreciate
where we
it.
are
Thank you.
with, from the administration, from the
Thank you.
governor's administration.
Thank
And
you.
I would say the goal of the families and our site managers and case managers as people are starting to work is to 100% prioritize the search for permanent housing. So utilizing that.
My point was just like the percentage of the monies or where it's going. Does some go back to the state? I don't think it does, but are they allowed to take the $450 themselves and do what they want with it? It doesn't seem equitable. And why aren't the other people who don't have their work permits not working? And there may be other reasons. I know there's daycare there, but how about some of the ones that have kids in school that are not working? So I think there's a lot of unanswered questions with this, and maybe the city manager gets some clarification from the state. And once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And yes, we'll have the manager to update all the councillor what Councillor Dakota is talking about. Thank you again, ma'am, for presentation. Very impressive. It's the first generation of Cambodian American refugees. I congratulate you for what you have done. I mentioned it to the ICC and the immigrants staying there. My wife said they got better rooming than when she first came in 1983. So I just want to congratulate and thank to everybody, including the city, various department, the health department, and all that helping this new immigrant. And As my colleague mentioned, the city of Lowell is a city of immigrants, and we welcome everyone and give everybody opportunity. As long as they're willing to work hard, they get somewhere. And I'm the standing testament of that. Thank you again, ma'am.
Thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for inviting and welcoming our residents. Thank you.
The information report traffic calming, Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. We do have Ms. Altman here to discuss some of the traffic calming measures. Ms. Altman?
Hello.
Thank you.
If I may. Hi.
Yes, you may.
I just wanted to give a little update of a report on how things are going with the speed humps the temporary speed humps that we put out. I apologize to Chrisman that I call them a street and they are an avenue, so I apologize. I think as an overwhelming success, max speed, nobody can get up to a really high speed when the speed humps are there. The number of vehicles traveling over 40 miles an hour. On Billings, it went from 180 over 5 days to 4. I mean, I think there's just a really good success of this trial. The negatives that I did here were they are a little loud. So from the people, we had inadvertently put one in front of somebody's house, and so they kind of complained that it was loud. So now we know we'd put it in the side yard or somebody's, not directly in front of somebody's window. So that was the negative that we heard, but that's pretty much what I knew from national best practices. So I just wanted to give a little report. We are putting in a permanent installation on Chrisman Avenue, and we are looking to do 2 other locations that have expressed interest on Draper Street and Sprague Avenue with the paving contractor this fall.
Thank you, Councilor Kitchia, and then Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Through you to Ms. Altman, thank you for the report. As we start looking at the infrastructure in these areas, couldn't we look, instead of speed bumps, at putting like a raised crosswalk and trying to make the walkability better in these areas? Like if you look at Billings, it could use something across the street and just put them there and have some sort of use rather than just a speed bump in the middle of the road? Is that something that would do?
So there are locations that a raised crosswalk would be more appropriate than a speed hump, but as with any crosswalk, it has to have ADA compliant curb ramps on either side, so we'd want to consider the appropriate use of all types of traffic calming devices.
But if we're looking at doing the road over at the same time, if we're looking for an infrastructure change, milling, overlaying, and stuff like that, shouldn't we be looking at sidewalks and doing the same thing at the same time? So that's all I'm saying is, rather than just keep adding these, could we look, raise crosswalks, definitely bring a cost, but it may be something that's aesthetically better for a neighborhood than just the speed bumps, that's all.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank Ms. Altman. I remember the day these were installed on Billings, and again, I think the data is glaring here. Yes, there might be a little bit of noise involved, but when you see a recorded 73 mile an hour max speed, and then pretty much since the installation, a 42, and you're pretty brave to go 42 miles an hour over those speed bumps. I mean, you're doing damage to your vehicle, and if you're that reckless, I mean, eventually enforcement will end up getting you at that point. I think, and I've heard from quite a bit of residents all throughout Centerville, as well as many areas of the city, these are in high demand. And I think, I agree with my colleague when he speaks of raised crosswalks. We've been advocating for West 6th Street by Eagle Park, improved lighting, raised crosswalks. But again, I know Centerville's in a unique situation because the combined sewer overflow work is still being mapped out, so any permanent installation might not be feasible at this point in time. But for the cost, I want to say, are we under 5,000 for a set, give or take, on those temporary data providing speed bumps?
The temporary ones? That
The
are-
ones we installed on Billings?
They're pretty expensive. They're actually more expensive than when we're going through the paving contractor to put it in permanent condition. Those were probably $15,000 each because of the rubber, because of the material. That
Oh,
we
that's
made
right,
out.
that's right.
Yeah, they're
Materials.
really expensive.
Well, I mean, I think, again, in a place like District 2, it's where we're still looking at the best course of action that makes the most sense before we can really start including permanent traffic mitigation measures. I really think that you have the data to support and justify the installation in a couple areas that I'm sure you're well aware of, that residents have put in reports, the council has discussed, and I'm sure the same goes in many other districts. I think these temporary installations have done exactly what we wanted. Now, when will they be removed? I know there was a discussion they'll be removed before winter, correct?
Right, I'm working with the streets department to figure out the best time for their schedule to pull them out. But I'll definitely put that out to Counselor when that's going to happen.
And will we see more installations? Because I know there was one other set that was slated this year that we didn't get to. Will that happen in the spring, do you anticipate next year?
So we'll have to see how these come up. And if we're able to reconfigure them and reuse them next year. We do have some wheel stops and flex posts that we weren't able to get out in a temporary situation this year. So hopefully we can get some more different types of installations next year.
Thank you. And Mr. Vice Mayor, through you to the city manager, do we have funding for any more of these for the spring, for installations of any more of these temporary data gathering type speed bumps before we really start rolling out the permanents?
Manager Golden?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. We do have some monies. What we're looking at initially, and I think this has been a very successful trial. I think that everybody's been looking for it, asking. And I think it's important to note, Ms. Altman has been trying to get back to people that are very interested in this. Sometimes the topography of the hills that you may live on, that causes a problem. But I think our first initial piece, other than the noise, we're hearing nothing but positives. So I would invite anybody that has anything other than noise, if there is an issue, to please let us know. Because quite frankly, from my perspective, from everything that I'm hearing from the residents, I think that our engineer's office, our transportation engineer, I think that when we're redoing roadways, this is probably one of the ways that we'll be looking in the future. So every time we're doing it, as Ms. Altman had stated, it is much less expensive to have this done when we're redoing a roadway. And once again, because of this council, we're looking, in the last 3 years, once we're completed, we're looking at $36 million of roadway preservations, recaptures, et cetera. So I think that, once again, this has been an extremely successful trial. I'm going to be interested to see how this does come up, how they do pop up. You have to think, Councilor, we were there actually on Billings the day they put them down, but you've had a number of vehicles driving over these, and how this is going to actually pop up is going to be kind of interesting. It's supposed to be fine, and hopefully it is. But we could wrangle some money to get some additional, but I think that putting the additional money that this council obviously has been dedicated to doing, looking at it from the perspective in some of our major roadways, we've tackled some of the other problems that our fire department had, and cushions and all this other stuff. But I think that this really is looking like a very successful trial. But to the residents who are listening tonight, I would just like to put that forth, that if there's a problem, if there's an issue, we're not hearing it. I'd love to hear the other issue, other than the noise, which Ms. Altman had talked about. But this has been extremely successful, and thank you, Ms. Altman, for all the hard work you've put in putting this together.
Thank you, Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. My only concern is once we rip these up, spring rolls around again, we're still doing the CSO work, and the 73-mile-an-hour speeds are coming back to Billings Street once these are gone. And that's my only concern. So if this is a temporary measure, I hope to see that temporary measure in place until we can make it more permanent. Thank you.
I would agree, Mr. Mayor, through you to the council. In Centerville, Councilor, we've talked about this. We do have some issues and some challenges, especially with the CSOs. There are a lot of folks that are asking why their roads aren't being done, and that's because of the CSO issue that we have. We are trying to, our engineer has really looked at some of the roadways to see if we can do localized paving, which I know has happened up on a couple of streets. There is a rhyme and a reason to do this. We're trying to save as much money as possible to satisfy some of the toughest roads that, quite frankly, we were only spending $2 to $3 million on, and now we're actually aggressively pursuing this. But Centerville, as a resident myself, Centerville, we're gonna have some challenges, and the challenges are really due to the combined sewer overflows that we're going to be challenged with our storage. So I ask people just to call us, let us know. We'll do what we can, but we're in a repair mode up in that area for some time. But we have hit a number of streets.
Thank you, Manager. Councilor Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. And I just wanted to thank Ms. Altman. These are, the residents are extremely happy with them. I did not receive any negative comments at all. I took a little time in the last, about 2 weeks ago when Ms. Altman asked me about, how residents felt about them, to walk around the neighborhood. They were ecstatic about them. They said they've been out walking. They've had their kids out on bicycles, that they never allowed them to ride bicycles down Jean Ave. So I think the biggest fear that I heard from them was that they were going to not bring them back in the spring. So because they've gotten used to kind of using the street in a way that they never could use it. So I just want to thank you, and I look forward to permanent installations, and I'm really happy that the one on Crispin Ave is going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janesh, you still want to make comment?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. First, through you to Ms. Altman, thank you for your work on this. I really think these are the kind of things that our residents are really looking for us to implement. They are the kind of things that improve the livability of your neighborhood, of your street, of your home. They're the kind of things that will increase your property value. They're the kind of things that allow you to sleep at night knowing your kids are going to be okay when they're playing in the front yard or whatever. And while the cost is, not zero, I also don't think $15,000 should be the difference between us being able to make a street safer or not, even if it's just for a summer. So, Mr. Manager, I would ask that we, as we look to prepare the next budget, we look to start building a cache of these. If they come up and can be used again, that's awesome. If they come up and they could be half used again, and we can buy more and use the half of the one that came back up rather, and half of a new one, over time we can kind of build this fleet, because there's a lot of streets in Lowell that are cut throughs, that are high-speed travel lanes, that people don't want. And I think that we have a chance to really change the landscape here. And I know that, for instance, the city of Boston is looking to do these kind of installations on every single residential street in the city. And while I don't think we're there yet, it sure would be nice to work in that direction. I think that there would be very few streets, if you opened it up to a vote of each street, there were very few streets that would vote that they don't want something like this. So I just want to make sure we are working in this direction, and I don't want to add more work to Ms. Holtman's plate. I know you've got quite a bit. But the more we can do, the better on this, and I think it's a total win. So thank you for your work on this.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Liz, thanks for coming in. I think you've been doing a great job. I've been in communication with you on many of these, with the placements of many of these, and I would consider this trial a huge success, absolutely. To the point where they are certainly in demand in my district, I can tell you that. For instance, we have begun to go on paving on Draper Street, and what I think is important, although as effective as I think they are, we need more transparency. We owe it to the residents of the street that they're coming. With that being said, Draper Street is being paved and pegged for a couple of these in the very near future. I then took a census by going door to door, and the exact numbers were 23 unanimously in favor, 2 in opposition. One of the 2 wanted more enforcement. But, you know, to the residents at home, as hard as we're working on this, police enforcement in your neighborhood on a daily basis is not feasible. This is something that sits and it does a more than effective job than actually putting a cruiser there with enforcement. So please keep that in mind. So that being said, these are going over very well. The data, it proves it, how the mile per hour went down dramatically, the speeding, and as Councilor Scott mentioned, her constituents are very pleased. So I think this is a wave of the future. Mr. Manager, a couple of my colleagues reiterated, I'd like to see a lot more investment here as we could. I think it's they're going to be in demand as we go forward. So great job to all involved. It's a team effort here, and I think we're going to see more of this in the future. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. I need a motion to refer the housing production plan to the housing subcommittee.
So moved.
Councillor by Councillor Kitcheer and then Councillor Jeunesse.
Mr. Vice
I need a
Mayor.
motion to accept.
You had Councilor Mercia raising her hand to speak on that motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I just had one comment about this, and I think everybody can attest to the fact that everybody in the city seems to want a speed hump on their street, no doubt about it. And we hear, as Councilor Robinson said, with the snow coming soon, we'll probably have to remove them, and then the people that are speeders will be going 75 miles an hour down a street. Okay, here's the plan. Not that I want to make this into a ticket city, but if we assign police, and I'm sure they still have speeding ticket books, generate the money to buy new speed bumps and let the very people that are violating the law pay for it. So if we can go after them and get those speeders and say, you want to speed? We're going to take your money. We're going to buy some more speed bumps. How's that? Can we do it? There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you very much. So now we go back to the Councillor motions. Motion 2.1, 4.1, Councillor Mercier and Councillor Jeunesse request city manager find ways and means to have the city engineer make Moulton Avenue an accepted street and put it on the paving list. No second needed.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, suspend the rules to let, there's a speaker. Is someone here tonight like to speak on this motion?
Speak on the motion. Yes, yes. No.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Bratton, and I'm the owner of a building at 9 Middlesex Street. And I've had my law practice there for the past 25 years. And before that, I worked for the attorneys that owned the building previously. And what it is, it's essentially the alley that is across from the Washington Savings Bank. And it's been unpaved for as long as I've been there, which is 30 years. And it's become a public safety issue, frankly. I had a client stumble in the alley and almost receive injuries as a result. And I'm happy that I was able to reach out to the city council and the office of the city manager. I sent a letter August 22nd outlining the public safety issue of paving the short stretch of roadway, Moulton Avenue. I'm happy to have it on the agenda for tonight, and I just want to thank the office of the city manager and all of the city councilors for taking this up tonight. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you, sir, for coming up. Councillor Kitcheer?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would like to make a substitute motion to also add Lupine Street to it. And I'm sure there's going to be many more unaccepted roads that people are going to want. The resident over there has called for the last 3 years I've been on the city council about it and was told no from the management. But if we could just add Lupine Street to it also.
Lupine. Let me Mr. Clerk, would be that acceptable?
Just read in the minutes and the minutes you get the-
Okay, thank you. Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. We would just need to check on Lupine with the National Grid. Any of these, there's another thing with paving problems, and that doesn't exist on Moulton Ave, is to ensure that National Grid's piping, if it is there, if it's steel or cast iron, we need to have them updated. So there is another layer to this when we're looking at streets throughout our city, that we make sure that all of the piping underground is up to date. So what we haven't done previously, which we're doing now, is we're making sure that our water department, sewer department, as well as any of the utilities have contacted. So Lupine would definitely be one of those, but we just need to make sure that the piping underneath it, we wouldn't want to do it and 2 years later have National Grid, if that's the case. I just want to let the council know, and of course all the members of the public that are watching tonight.
Thank you, Manager. We
made a motion and you're not allowing us.
Yes, sorry, ma'am. Councilor Mercier.
So through you, Mr. Vice Mayor, to the city manager, do we know if Moulton Ave is an accepted city street? Because you don't pave anything that isn't accepted.
It is not an accepted city street, but it's our property.
It's our property.
We ended up taking it back. There's a long story to why it was ours, but we would, at some point, it's such a small street.
It looks like an alleyway, but if you go by, you look and see that cars are parked there all the time. And the letters and the pictures that accompanied Attorney Bratton's letter are really horrendous. The holes are unbelievable, and I wouldn't want to have a lawsuit if we do own that land.
That's right,
So do you think that that would be on the paving list, or how are we going to address this issue?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. That is something that we are looking to put together in the coming weeks. We would do that on the localized paving. Some of the councilors are very familiar with localized paving in the areas. Typically, when you see an intersection in a street, and you say to yourself, boy, why did they only go 100 feet down the road? We've taken the opportunity to do localized paving as well. In certain areas at certain times, it's not to say that the entire street doesn't need to be done, but for whatever reason, it's usually water runoff or whatever. There's a segment of the street that had a cave-in, et cetera. So we took this localized option as well. That's what we're looking to do with Moulton Ave. But I would absolutely take Lupine on this as well. We just need to make sure, Lupine or any of the streets, quite frankly, we just need to make sure that the infrastructure underneath it is up to date. Because once again, we wouldn't want to throw good money after bad.
Right,
and on Moulton Ave, it's a ownership issue. We do own it.
Oh, good.
And then once we own it, and once it's in good order,
Sure.
we then could apply for it to be a street, to get an accepted street. However, it's such a small street,
Sure.
how much time and money are we going to spend on trying to put that into our accepted area?
Yeah.
And it's something that I think our attorneys would be able to do.
So if you could just keep us posted as to the process and what's happening. Thank you.
I misspoke, our engineering department, my apologies.
Councilor Shinesh, you want to add on?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Yes, I think there's two concerns with this spot. A, it hasn't been taken care of in a very long time, and it's in quite a state of disrepair. I have driven down it a couple times, but I don't like driving down there because it's treacherous. So I think the first point is, as the attorney mentioned and as Councilor Mercier has mentioned, we need to get this back to a state of good repair from a public safety point of view. I don't know what's underneath it for infrastructure. I don't know if there's anything that has to be done there, but I also know that adding it as an accepted street is a much higher bar for runoff concerns and everything else that it needs to meet in order to be an accepted street. So maybe that's something we don't even think about right now. Maybe right now we just worry about getting it fixed. But I think that, Mr. Manager, if you'll take this and just, You do what you can with it. Let us know what the state is. If we need to make another motion, change the motion, whatever we need to do at that point. I don't want to, start talking about other streets that the city doesn't own and has other issues, because we'd be here all night, all week. But I just want to make sure that we're taking care of our property. So I thank my colleague for putting this motion on with me, so we can get this addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. You still want to make comment?
Thank you. Real quick, on the motion response to this, would it be possible to just give kind of a summary as to accepted streets? What is that process? I mean, I know tonight we don't have to dive into it, but it'd be great to get just an overall general overview of what makes a street, or what's the process of an accepted street versus a non-accepted street. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Pitchias.
If the maker of the motions are amenable to it, I would change the motion so it doesn't have accepted street in it, because if it's the city-owned area, then they should be able to pave it just like they did the Daly School or the Riley School or something. With the accepted piece to it, I will not support that. And if I could just ask one question to Ms. Altman while she's here, about accepted, unaccepted streets in Massachusetts and the number we have in Lowell, because what's going to happen is, if you push this accepted piece, you have 200 waiting for you. So it's not, if the city owns it, then we should just pave it like we did the Daly School or the Bailey, or with the infrastructure under it. But there is a legality piece to an accepted road in who pays. Through you to Ms. Altman, if she would.
While Ms. Altman comes.
We've had this discussion multiple times since I've been on the council about accepted, unaccepted roads, and I believe Ms. Altman, the engineer, has even given us a list of accepted and unaccepted roads. Haven't we had that conversation multiple times?
I'm sorry, I'm not the best person to answer this question. Ting would, the city engineer, has a list of accepted and non-accepted roads. I know she does, I've seen it. I have a copy of it. I don't know off the top of my head if this is an accepted road.
Yeah, we've had it posted multiple times. I would just ask the maker of the motion to ask the city to change the motion, just to say, Mr. Manager, could you come back to us with a report on repaving our owned Moulton Street?
Sure. Councilor Janes, you want to comment on that?
Sure. I spoke with Councilor Mercier offline here, and we're amenable to adjusting this motion to just asking for the street to be repaired, and then report back on whether or not it can be an accepted street and what the process would be. So just split that in two. If that makes everybody happy, we're good.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I think I agree that we wait for the report to come back from the manager, and then we can further discuss that. I agree. Thank you so much.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Can I make a motion to take 4.4 out of order? I believe we have a registered speaker.
Okay. Councilor Robinson want to take 4.4 out of motion. I need a second by Councilor Noon. Okay. 4.4, Councilor Robinson requests City Manager work with the proper departments to explore ways to assist resident families with the acquisition of the Angel Sense program. We have a guest. Second by Councilor Noon. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Vice Mayor. We do have a registered speaker, I believe.
Joanna Turcott.
Hello, everybody.
Please state your name and the address, and then you have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay. My name is Joanna Turcott, and I live at 684 Beacon Street. Good evening. Thank you to the members of the council for allowing me this moment to advocate for one of the most vulnerable populations of children in our city. My name is Joanna Turcott, and I have been a resident of Lowell for 8 years. I live on the corner of Beacon and Willard Street. I'm here to present my safety concerns, important advocacy, and a plan to keep our special needs community safe. My daughter, Juliana, is 10 and was diagnosed with Down syndrome at birth. She struggles in specific behavioral areas that impact her personal safety. Juliana has gone missing twice in the last 2 years, once at home and once at school. Since she could walk, I have put safeguards into place to ensure her safety, essentially to minimize and prevent eloping. There are safety concerns in my community, and I feel they should be addressed. 1, the bottom of Beacon Street should have speed bumps installed. People are speeding around the corner of Willard and accelerating towards this Beacon Street hill at high speeds. 2, caution eloping child, traffic signs on the poles in front of my home. 3, a crosswalk on Willard Street, behind Market Basket on Bridge Street. In Lowell, we have been seeing a rise of eloping children with special needs. As you've seen, these elopements can end tragically. As a mother, I've been sitting at this table for years, worrying if my child will survive her next elopement attempt. All of this while facing the financial hardships of being a special needs parent. Therefore, I created a safety plan that families can adopt, which will safeguard their loved ones and prevent eloping. Proposal: a collaborative, multi-tier safety plan for critical elopers with special needs. 1, Safe Watch program. We already have this. 2, Project Lifesaver. We already have this. 3, a rainbow alert. The alert would be localized to the last known whereabouts of the missing special needs person. When safe to do so, the alert should inform the nearby public with the child's Safe Watch profile and a reminder to check their entire property, beginning with any body of water. 4, technology. Low-income families with elopers should be able to acquire an Angel Sense device. I am proposing that Lowell come together to find funding for this program. 5, a service dog trained in specific tasks to minimize or guard against elopement. This is a proven and an effective way to keep these children safe. 6, adaptive life-saving water classes for children with special needs. 7, community engagement. Public safety awareness to promote, community engagement, public safety awareness events to promote visibility. 8, after-school program with transportation for those with special needs that focuses on eloping behaviors and personal safety using ABA. 9, support groups of parents for parents of critical elopers. 10, first responders with communication boards. 11, traffic signs and speed bumps around homes. 12, specialized adaptive equipment, including home cameras, alarms, and locks. In conclusion, Lowell should consider adopting a safety plan with multiple layers of safeguards by creating and funding programs and technology in conjunction with each other. They can improve the personal safety of those with critical elopement issues within our community. Thank you for your consideration and support on these matters.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Excellent job. I have to say thank you. This elopement is something that was completely brand new to me. I knew nothing about it. Thankfully, a few of my neighbors reached out and we had this conversation. And as everyone can see, this is a well thought out plan of attack. Some great recommendations, I believe, and we're hearing it directly from a mother of a child that has this challenge. And there's many others in our community that are dealing with this on a daily basis. I think, some of these things are not necessarily city responsibilities, while some of these other things, I think, sit squarely in the city's lap. I'm very pleased to see, obviously, we have the Safe Watch program already in place. I know Lowell Police was instrumental in bringing that on board around the time when I think I first got sworn in the first term. I also like some of the recommendations, again, educating the public, community engagement, public safety awareness events. I think the first responders with communication boards could be vital, especially in a situation where you might have a nonverbal child that is unable to communicate with a first responder, and maybe they already have these. I'm not sure, but I think based on these recommendations and with this being a growing situation in our community, and unfortunately we've seen the negative end of some of this stuff, where the child wasn't found okay after they were missing, and another recommendation in here that jumped out at me personally when I heard was adaptive life-saving water classes for children with special needs. That's why it's vital that we do all we can to keep the pools that we have in our community offering these kind of lessons. I also think, a call to action when a child is missing in a way that they remind to check the bodies of water near their homes or pools or any of that stuff. So this might need to be kind of digested. I think there's a lot here, and I'm not sure if any of my colleagues recommend maybe a subcommittee that could kind of work through some of this stuff to see and just check off what are we doing, what are we not doing, and work with the first responders and other organizations. Would you prefer we send this, through the manager's office and you come back with a recommendation as to how we can break this down?
Right. Thank you, Councilor Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. My recommendation would be to work with the Disability Commission that has some financial ways and means, as well as this body has financial ways and means, but in working with the Disability Commission to have these discussions about what could happen. I apologize, I just gave my list out. But there are a lot of things here that I think that are interesting pieces that I think that we could work through the public. But my recommendation, Council, is if it's your recommendation, I'd take it and I'd bring it to the Disability Commission and have that discussion there, if that's the wish of the body.
Thank you, Manager Golden. Any other questions?
I think that's a great recommendation. So the motion would be to refer this to the Disability Commission? Okay. I make the motion to send this over to the Disability Commission.
Yeah. Councilor Robinson want to make motion to refer to the Disability Commission. Do we have one, the Disability Commission?
Yes.
And
Second.
second by Councilor Belanger, actually. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Vice Chair, on that motion, over the last few years, you've watched the city and their partners do away with a lot of the swimming pools, indoor swimming pools, and I think that has a negative effect. We've lost the high school, UMass Lowell, the boys club. I think the only one left is the Y, right? That's it, and there's probably no time to even get in. Is there a way that you could make this happen faster, that maybe you could go through the rec department, because the rec department has means to get a pool, and maybe set up a program so that you can start into this with Peter Faticani rather than just send everything to the Disabilities Commission. Could we separate that from it and see if you can put the rec department in touch with the speaker and see if there's a way that we could maybe set up a program for a few hours and try to put something together that they can get familiar with it? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Go back to motion 4.2. Councilor Noon requests City Manager have proper department provide a report to the Council on best practices in removing graffiti in downtown and around the Riverwalk area. Second. By Councilor Jeunesse. Councilor Noon?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I know that recently the city has purchased the machine to clean the graffiti. This is an ongoing issue. I know we chase after the people that doing the graffiti. I would suggest that maybe having the DPW and or maybe land and building work together with the the abutter, people in the downtown area, the businesses and or the Riverwalk areas to see number where they can contact and get the response right away in terms of cleaning up the graffiti, either in downtown or the Riverwalk. So, that just maybe get us a report on that and see where we go from there. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other question or comment? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Motion 4.3, Councilor Getchia requests the City Manager have the proper department, engineering, wastewater, provide the City Council with the process to tie into the city sewer system and report requirements for builders, city staff, and anyone else to investigate the capacity before being permitted to tie into the system. Second by Councilor Scott. Councilor Getchia?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, over the last probably 2 years, many of the conversations at the council level and in the neighborhoods have been about building and tying into the sewer system. We're seeing on North Billerica Street, you're seeing on Westford Street now, Reservoir up at the old apple orchard. And as we look at this, and we're seeing, just tonight we had a subcommittee meeting where we had the person in charge of wastewater say overbuilding in the Douglas Road area is what caused the flooding issues. So I think we need to be more proactive and look at these areas so that this doesn't keep happening. Right now we have the federal government who has CSOs, and they're saying the combined sewer overflows are being caused, but we're not really looking at, okay, what is the capacity of the current system in the areas that all these building is going on? We're just tying in and we're sending more and more waste stream in there into the system. And can it actually hold what we have as we build up and build up? With ADUs being added to this whole issue by the governor without looking at infrastructure issues, I think it's something that we really need to take a look at. Just the other day, I had a resident from Mary Teresa Terrace call, and she talked about how her property, for the first time in 25 years of ownership, got flooded because we added a basin to the road that accepted the stormwater, sent it into the sewer, but the capacity of the line couldn't handle the capacity of the stormwater, so it sent it back into the home. So prior to doing any of this, we should have strict policies in place that say we have to meet certain flows before we allow somebody to tie in, because it's just after the building's done and we see the overflows happen, the resident, as we heard tonight, would be the one who would be on the hook until we could get reimbursement back. And a lot of residents can't afford to pay for backflow units and other infrastructure that would go along with this. So I just think seeing these policies, knowing what they are in advance, and seeing if we can strengthen them to say, okay, because we're all on the hook in the end for the infrastructure increases, because it goes through our, we just saw our water and wastewater go up 12%. And we watch Gorham Street. That floods every single time. Is that due just because, you know, it rained, or is it due because we've added so much to the infrastructure that we can't take it anymore? And did we put basins in areas that now are accepting water that could have went to runoff water in other areas? So these things are all very important to the health and safety of our residents and also to the infrastructure. So that's the reason why I put this motion in, because I just think that we need to see these policies, adapt these policies, and understand where we're going from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Robinson?
Thank you. I'd like to thank Councilor Gitche for bringing this forward also. I've asked this myself at planning board meetings, just specifically around the district, my district. We have problems downstream from the West 6th area just because of the setup of the neighborhood. I mean, where you're getting sewerage and backup problems, and that's why, again, we're rolling out a robust plan of attack with the CSO work and all that. But in the meantime, I mean, we have a lot of development that's going on above stream. And 4% of Centerville is separated out. So all those tie-ins above added more volume of material that needs to be processed below. So, I mean, again, I think this is a great motion to start looking at for when we're doing all this large-scale development, because, I mean, and that's a great thing. All these development projects that are coming online slowly but surely are amazing, and that's what we need desperately. But we also have to make sure that the bones of the skeleton is strong to be able to handle it too. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments and questions? Hear none. All in favor, say aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Now, 4.5, Councillor Robinson requests City Manager have proper department work with the Greenhouse School and Lowell Public School to implement no parking drop-off picking destination on Arnold Street adjacent to the school property. Second by Councillor Mercier.
There's a registered speaker, Vice Chair.
Okay.
Sandra McNamara.
Good evening, everybody. Sandy McNamara, President of Centerville Community Coalition, as well as a resident. And I'm here tonight because I was last week and spoke with the school committee in regards to the public safety of what goes on at the Green Alge. Let me go back a little bit further. When Victor Street was to be a one-way, There was a big fight throughout the neighborhood, and we come in and we all negotiated, and we took care of the buses, small buses up front, which is posted. Big buses go around right out Beaufort, which is the most safest way. Now it's the parents. On one side of Victor, it was agreed would be residents only, which the residents don't mind during the day because everybody's in work who parks there. On the left side, where the school side is, was supposed to be parents drop off, pick up only. All the parking signs were taken down that said no parking, school only, on the Victor Street left side, waiting for the new signs to arrive, which never did. I did take some photos, and LTC has them. If you want to view a few, it shows where the front of the school is posted. That white van right there, she just gets out. She's at the corner of Beaulieu and Victor, middle of the street, just gets out, walks across the street, and gets her kid every day, and holds up, which the traffic is already blocked anyways. And a big concern is there's another one there. Parents just have to, they get so jammed that they just have to let their kids out of the cars, just so they won't be late. We got kids running in the street, trying to get to the crosswalk, again, so they're not going to be late for school, which is dangerous. The other big issue is there's a picture of the crosswalk there with 2 cars on each side. They're not on the crosswalk, but they're damn close. And the issue there is when the crossing guard's in the middle of the street trying to cross kids, once those parents get their kids, they're in the car and they want to go. If they back that car up, every day, within seconds, there's a child that almost gets hit by one of those cars by the crosswalk, either trying to back up or pull up. There's accidents all the time. My biggest concern, again, is we need to get the pickup drop-off working. God bless Sister Irene. She tried it when all of this was first implemented, but the principal at the time didn't want to work with her. So that was the end of that story. Sister Irene will give you 1 chance, won't give you 2. But again, I did some of the quick pictures today, just enough to show, and again, that's what was implemented. If somebody can find the paperwork, God bless Diane Trad. She went through all the chaos when it was going to become a one-way. And it works. I think, as far as, like I said, on the resident sign, people are in work, so they really don't care. Nobody has a problem with them parking there because, again, they're at work. Unless they block my garage. That's another story. But please, please, we got to come to the end of the line with this. Look at how many years it's been Victor Street. It's been a one-way, and nothing's implemented. And I don't want to wait to the point to where, I mean, the parents get so irate, and in a way, you can't blame them. If I had to let my kid out in the middle of the street, I would be furious. So you know, by the time they get out of the traffic, they're just going to go, shh, and off they go, in anger. You know what I mean? And I can understand it. I can understand it 1,000%. So again, please, if we can get something working, very much appreciated. And the one-way, no parking, I see Corey did it on Anal Street. Anal Street is already taken care of. Little buses were taken care of in the very beginning.
Yeah.
My friend can contest
I'm sorry,
that.
ma'am. You have 3 minutes. You went over. I'll let
That's
you
fine.
go.
I can.
I appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you very much, and
Thank
have a
you.
good night.
Yeah. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you to the speaker. And this was, so I've been approached by both residents as well as the Greenouts, so I'd be looking to amend the motion. Just to say, work with Greenouts and LPS, as well as neighborhood on no parking, drop-off, pickup destination on Anel and Victor. Victor Street also added to that list. And for the motion response, Greenouts reached out. They were concerned. I'm not sure what's going on with the no parking drop-off pickup destination over on Enel, but that was a request that came from the principal of the Green Elge as well. So there is a traffic situation going on Victor and Enel. And if we can facilitate some kind of plan that works for everybody involved, as you saw in the pictures, it gets very congested, and all it takes is a little kid to pop out while a parent's trying to pull off after pickup, and that's the last we need. So greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comment, question? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Just quickly, just because I have
Yes, sir.
past experience,
Right.
I'm wondering if Ms. Altman could look at it, and Sandy, maybe you can verify this for me, but is there a chance that we could use the side near the church on the left-hand side as parking?
The new owners of St. Louis
Yeah.
are remarkable. They're doing a remarkable job. Whenever they have to cut off a section for construction, they pull out another section for the parents.
Right.
They got the parents, they can park right up against the school in triple lane.
It seemed that would alleviate some of that traffic in front of the school, because
And they do it now. They do it now, but it doesn't matter. There's just too many parents. But they're wonderful to work with, and they are allowing them now to park.
All right.
The best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. 4.6, Councillor Robinson requests City Manager have the proper department to provide an update on the Greenhalgh School current HVAC system. Second by Councillor Mercier again. Councillor Robinson.
Motion speaks for itself.
Thank you so much. Motion 4.7, Councillor Belanger, Councillor Robinson requests City Manager and DPD work with all city stakeholders to review, revise vision for the HCID to align with post-COVID economic climate. No second needed. Councillor Belanger or Robinson, who want to go first?
I'll take the honors. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. Well, what all the good news is here is the HCID is getting some attention as of late and some interest from developers, and stemming from a conversation Councilor Robinson and I had, very informative conversation we had together. That's how this motion stems from. But if I can just give a little history here, that the vision for was then called the Hamilton Canal District. The wording innovation has not been incorporated at this time. It was originated in 2006, nearly 20 years ago. Since then, we've had not one but two. We had a stock market crash of 2008, and not to mention COVID-19. So these two have dramatically affected our future and our course. Now, just give a little history to rewind a little bit here. Things were off to a pretty good start back in 2013, where the old Frudenberg building was converted by UMass Lowell into the 110 Canal, which is a research and innovative technology center. Great to see down there. So it was a very, very good start to get us off the ground, to get interest. Then shortly after, 2 years later, we had interest when I was on the council from Wind Development. They built two buildings on lots 3 and 4, abutting the canal, which were pegged for housing. That went very well. And those buildings are beautiful, 100% occupied, all good there. But, you know, that was complete about 2016, 2017, give or take. And since then, not much has happened. We did have interest in 2016 from Circle Health, the local healthcare provider. It was a glass and steel structure building, which we all envisioned down there. But unfortunately, the city infrastructure was not ready, and they decided to go to Drake-It instead, which was a loss. It was a devastating loss not to be able to land that. But what can we do? So, but as of late, we completed a city garage there in that district that's city-owned, and we also have a private garage that was just complete, just opened just a few short months ago. Both of which, to my knowledge, are losing money, each one. Our city-owned HCID garage is a loss leader, if you will, in the parking enterprise fund, draining that account in the red. Okay? And now we have another garage, privately owned, that's even going to put it more in the red. And that's losing money as well. So we got plenty of parking, but no buildings. Okay, we've had bites in the past, but no big fish. So the idea here is to relay it back to the manager and all the city stakeholders, the university, the Lowell plan, just to name a few, to review and revise this vision. In 2015 as well, the council at the time, stemming from the 110 Canal, having the university's presence there, we rebranded it to the Hamilton Canal Innovation District. But what's in front of us as of late is housing. So what's really been affected by COVID-19 is the commercial aspect. Are we ever going to see a glass and steel 13-story building? As much as we'd love it, I have my doubts. I'd say it's possible, but not probable. And do we need to realign our vision to the like and pursue other avenues? Now, the manager is working diligently with parcels 11 and 12 with Wind Development, who are proposing another housing development with retail and commercial on the first floor. That's good. That's all good. We have Mr. Lapoli, lots 2, 3, and 4, combining all those for a rather dense housing project, which is in the conversation as well. But that would do it for how, let's just say hypothetically, these two, we can get to yes. The housing component of the Hamilton Canal Innovation District would be all done. Okay, so that would leave 3 remaining lots, 15, 16, and 17, that are just commercial. And that, I believe, is where we're going to struggle, as we already have. So, we do have the Link project, the UMass Lowell's Link project in the pipeline, and that's great, but there's, a lot of work to get these parcels shovel ready. We're talking a considerable amount of time before I think we start seeing results, if you will, or interest. So, so my conversation with Councilor Robinson, that we thought it was the best interest for this district to kick it back to the manager's office, take a good look as to what we should do, because I believe we can get residential all day long. This was designed to be a 24/7 district where we'd have commercial to support the restaurant first floor, and then the residents at night would support the first floor retail and commercial units. But without the commercial component, that is why we want to kick it back to the drawing board. So I think there's great potential down there. There's a lot of untapped tax revenue that the homeowner needs relief, and this is where it is at. It's a lot of work. I don't deny that, but I think the talent we have within the city and surrounding, we can get it done. So I think it's best that we take a long, hard look at this again to see what we're going to do for these remaining parcels that won't include housing, and that's where we need to do a lot of work and research. So thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Robinson, do you have anything to add?
Thank you. Yes. Pretty much as my colleague explained, I think this is an opportunity. The key word in this is vision. I think we're all aware things have changed since we first started looking at this. The councils before us started looking at this. The demand for commercial space, post-COVID, a lot of factors have changed. Link projects now involved in the conversation and how that impacts city-side operations. I also think it's vision. It's the days of mystical, magical wing laboratories moving down to the end of Jackson Street and employing 6,000 people are over. That's not a reality. I think initially when this was looked at, it was something that was discussed. But I think this motion here provides the administration to get everybody back on the same page as far as what is the vision. And this vision should be a shared vision between the business community, as was mentioned, university, the city, our residents. Because, depending who you talk to, you hear, we're looking for a ton of commercial space. Then we're looking for a ton of low income. Then we're looking for mixed income. Then we're looking for retail. I think, what is the vision for the HCID? And I think that'll help also decision-making for the council moving forward, as well as everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any comments, question? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carried. 5, communication from city manager. 5.1, motion respond. Election, Councillor Jeunesse.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Thank you to Mr. Rosenberry and the administration for preparing this report. I can tell that there's a lot of thought that went into it, and it sounds like we're ready to go for November. Obviously, that's going to be a lot of work from you, your team, all the day of election staff, the election commission, everyone. It's a lot of work to pull off a presidential election like this, and it looks like we're prepared and ready to go. I think that the plan, specifically around the mail-in votes and when they're going to be tabulated and when they're going to be held on to, I think that's a solid plan, and I appreciate that being laid out for everyone to understand. And I also appreciate the forward-looking piece of it, of some opportunities for improvement as we move along. And I would just ask that, Mr. Manager, you keep this report in mind when the time comes for preparing next year's budget and the budgets that follow, to address some of these opportunities for growth that have been presented by Mr. Rosenberry. And thank you, and wish you all the best of luck with pulling off this election. Thank you.
Councillor Belanger.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. It's a very thorough motion response, greatly appreciated. Mr. Vice Mayor, through you to the Election Commission Director, I believe he's here tonight.
He's here. Sir, would you come to the podium, please?
Well, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Now, you made a request on the motion response as to additional upgraded ballot drop boxes that can be placed throughout the neighborhoods that would enhance voter convenience. So can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit? I found that very interesting.
Sure. So we presently just have one ballot box. This is the ballot drop box for people to hand deliver their ballots back to us. It's currently, well, it's not been deployed yet because people haven't received their ballots, but traditionally it's been deployed in the police department. Which many communities in Lowell have issues with. The police department isn't an ideal place. Not everybody's comfortable going into a police station. But security concerns and kind of sort of outweigh the issue of where we're going to be placing the box. So there is the possibility of getting some upgraded boxes. They are very expensive. They would also require, DPW to bolt them to the ground, essentially, similar like the library drop box. Right. It's generally a recommendation that these drop boxes are also under some sort of surveillance, if not just, kind of manned. I know many cities and towns, for instance, the city of Boston deploys, they have a very strong library system with branches throughout the neighborhoods. The city of Boston deploys their drop boxes outside of libraries, which are also under surveillance. Mm-hmm. Some communities use the fire stations, which have surveillance or are manned. I've had some conversations with the director of the library about putting them near their drop boxes, the book depository boxes on is at Coburn Street behind City Hall here. Yeah. And those seem to have some coverage from the cameras at the fire station there on Moody Street. So some we're looking into. I don't know if we're going to be able to get these drop boxes purchased, deployed, installed, et cetera, before the presidential election, but long term, it might be something that we look at.
No, right. No, I thought it was a great idea. I know presidential election a little bit, but 30, 40 days, I get it. It's not going to happen by then, but something definitely to consider in the future. But thank you for elaborating that, what's needed, the security measures that need to be taken, security, and has to be taken, considered at a very high level with these ballot boxes. So it's good to know. And, after I know you're very busy, but after the presidential election, if you wanted to come back, with a few ideas as to how to go about it, I'd be all ears to anything that can enhance voter participation. I think we should work on. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Councillor Jeunesse, you want to still make
Yes,
comment?
thank you. Thanks for to Councilor Belanger for mentioning that, because I was going to mention that and I just forgot. As Mr. Rosenberry mentioned, there are communities. I know Worcester is one who has deployed drop boxes at their various fire stations and then goes around and collects from them. That was something I'd brought up in the past as an opportunity. It would be great if we can get to a model like that. I think that's probably the best way to get it into all the neighborhoods, to keep people from having to come downtown from all across the city to drop their ballots off. But, if there's a better way, I'm all ears. But thank you again.
Thank you. Councillor Anun?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So, great suggestion in the report. One of the suggestion I would have, Councillor Robinson also mentions as well, that is the police precinct. We have the police precinct throughout the city. So that is a great location. It's safer, it's protected. Just making sure that those ballot boxes secure. I think either that or the fire station, but I would prefer the police precinct throughout the city. You utilize that as the drop off for the going forward. I know that the presidential election, as indicated by my colleague, that is very near, and we're not going to be able to make it. So maybe the next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Robinson?
Thank you. As Councilor Noon just expressed, I mean, and again, it's unmanned, but if the box was inside the precinct with just a slot that was accessible from the public to drop a ballot into that box, that might do it. The problem with a fire station is the men and women that man these stations, they're in and out. It's not really conducive to members of the public walking up with trucks coming and going frequently, and there's no real secure location that you could put a box with a slot, as opposed to precincts that aren't fully manned all the time. At least the box would be inside, secured with cameras, and someone could walk up, put their ballot in that slot and directly into the box. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Motion respond C. Motion respond B. Barrel enforcement, Councillor Chines.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I want to thank the team for putting this together and the work that goes into this. We had a good report at the neighborhood subcommittee earlier before this meeting about a lot of the work that the enforcement team is doing, addressing the location of the barrels as well as the contents and making sure they're closed and all of that. And so I'm just happy to know that this is being addressed and would like to thank the team for all their work there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Motion response C, Centralville Basketball Complex, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I'm glad to see this work being done. Through you, Mr. Vice Mayor, to DPD Director, what is this surface that's being piloted over there? Could you inform us of that, please?
Assistant Manager Bay Rose.
Thank you. It's so one of the things that we've been doing in the throughout all of the ARPA projects that we've been working on is looking into materials that specifically at St. Louis was the place where we had sort of initially thought about it. Basketball courts often are blacktop, and are obviously really hot. And so in places where we know we already have a heat island effect, we were trying to figure out, are there things we could do? A lot of communities have done things like painted murals, but there are also new products that are available in the market that are specifically made essentially to try to help combat heat. And so this particular product essentially sort of, instead of absorbing the heat, kind of expels it, I guess, for a lack of a scientific way to explain that. So the plan is to, it will look almost like a painted surface. So it's not just going to be a blacktop. It will likely mirror that bluish color. And so we'll start seeing that hopefully in most of the basketball courts that we're going to be doing, not just at St. Louis, but in other locations. They have this product has proven that it can change the measurable heat on the surface. And then the interesting or more unique piece about St. Louis is that we actually, through our an MVP grant that we got, are going to be working with UMass Lowell. So they are actually going to take tests and study the location before we do installation, and then monitor it over time to see if we can actually find a measurable difference in temperature. So it's both like a learning opportunity, but also just something that we're trying to introduce to support just sustainability across the city.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's exciting. I'm glad to see there's a lot of thought going into cutting back on the heat island effect, as well as improving the opportunities we provide for our residents. I'm still gonna stick to, we need a scoreboard and lighting over there though. So can we compromise on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Motion response D, Hill Pollinator Garden, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. Again, I'm glad to see that a DPD team, again, you guys are more than willing to really sit there and dig in, and if something makes sense, you do your homework on it, and I appreciate that. I think it's a win-win. I think if, again, 2 to 3 years to fully establish, but we struggle with the upkeep and maintenance of this location. We first looked at it to do potential solar panels, which we found it wasn't really conducive for whatever reason. And so, I mean, a pollinator garden, and I love how it opens up all learning opportunities for the schools. Maybe we have local, what is it called, the colony in Tingsboro. So, I mean, that opens up a world of educational opportunities for bees and pollinators. So, thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Councillor. Motion response E, VFW and Bridge, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you again. I think this is a challenge, and I know it is state as well as city, and Mass DOT is involved in this. I just think that, you know, any help trying to mitigate this high pedestrian area and facilitate to coexist with the steady stream of traffic in that area, it's a challenge. And I look forward to seeing, moving forward, what we can do to try to improve, but it's not solely sitting on the city's lap. I know it's again, Mass DOT jurisdiction as well. So I guess this is something we're gonna have to keep trying to consider and see how we can get the two to work harmoniously. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Motion response F, banners, Councillor Robinson, Councillor Noon, Councillor Jeunesse. Who's want to go first? Okay, you good. Okay, Councillor Noon, you it.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Through you to the managers, maybe Assistant City Manager Giovanni Byroses. Thank you for the report, very detailed. Questions with regard to Lowell Community Health Center. They are interested of having banners. So who should they contact?
Mr. Manager?
I'm going to be speaking with the executive director tomorrow, so we can talk about this if you wish, Council.
Do that. Thank you. And I do understand, we talked about this last week, Assistant City Manager Giovanni Byroses and her team at the Boy and Girl Club with regard to the banner at the Cambodian town, giving a lot of things that's going to happen the next years or so, the construction in that area. So we're going to hold off on putting banner in that in the Cambodian town area. So I understand that. Thank you for the report.
Thank you. All set, Councillor? All right. Motion response G, school inspection, Councillor Goodyear.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Through you to either Giovanni or Mr. DeJesus, whoever wants to answer. I'd just like them to outline the policy. I thank them for the report, but I think there's still a step missing when you look at this report. So I just wonder how, when you go in to do these type of inspections at schools or a municipal building, why would we send the inspectors in without the responsible party being with you? Because it doesn't look like the first step should be reaching out to the responsible party, just like they're a private business, like they're anybody, have them do the walkthrough with you. So in real time, they understand, here's the deficiencies and you need to get it done, and not rely on emails or calls back and forth, and then send the report afterwards. Because I know every time I've ever done this, and I get to do this a lot, we reach out to either the town or the town reaches out to us, and the responsible party actually is there during the inspection. So it's real time. Okay, the Ansel system isn't up to date, inspected. Okay, you need to get this done. So I take notes at the same time, so it's actually real time. So now there's no passing the buck. I didn't see the email. My friend stole the email. The email system broke down and we don't have emails anymore, or whatever the reason is. But then they can actually contact the contractor in real time and not wait on the report. I just think that I think there needs to be a number one just added to it that says, if it's a DPW, then they need to be there right when you're in that building, inspecting that building. I don't know why any facility, I don't know who's in charge of the kitchens. That's what I kind of was asking. Who is in charge of the kitchens? Is it DPW who oversees the Ansel systems and that, or is it? That's why we need a facilities department, to tell you the truth. But I'm trying to figure out, okay, on here we have like 26 people we have to email to send a report to, when it should be one responsible party. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get out of the way, is all the fat to it, is how do we get to that point that here's the person, here it is, and pass it on. So do we know who the person is that should be at the inspection?
Manager Golden, assistant manager.
I actually have both the building commissioner and the director of development services here that can
You see, we already went sideways. We need two people to do something one person does. Welcome to government. Go ahead.
Counselor, we've done things a little bit differently this year in that we've dedicated one inspector to facilitate all the school inspections. Years before, we had the area inspectors conduct each school within their district. This year, we decided that Stephen Nocco, the senior inspector, was going to do all of the schools. And he, along with fire prevention, went into all the schools starting in July and finished everything. Well, I take that back. We still have 4 schools left, but out of the 29 schools, 25 have passed to date, and it's a much easier way to have one person do all of the inspections, and they work with the custodians, and they reach out to the DPW staff to make note of all the deficiencies within the school, and then they're called back to re-inspect to make sure that everything is done.
So I think we're missing the point. The point isn't so much who's inspecting it.
Yep.
It's who's maintaining it. A custodian should not be responsible for fire suppression in a kitchen. Should not be responsible for it. It should have somebody of authority. Who calls on if the Ansel system needs an inspection?
It's all pointed out. It's all brought out in the report.
Well, again, that's where the breakdown is. When you go to a business and you go through a business, isn't the business owner a responsible maintenance person there? And you say, let's walk through, and we walk through a building and go, okay, this, and this. It's not your department at all. I'm not questioning the inspection piece. I'm questioning the maintenance piece. There needs to be somebody from the city who's responsible, not a custodian, in the role where they can actually make a decision and call these companies right away before your report's done, because your report can take days to get back to somebody. Where these things need to be, because when you call these companies, take Impact Fire or one of them, when you call them, their schedule can be 2 weeks out, and then in 3 days from now, it could be a month out. So they need to be there in real time, and you shouldn't have to do that legwork. It should be one person gets your report, and they're responsible for your report, not many.
Well, let me back up just a little bit. We did discuss going to School Dude and putting all the deficiencies into School Dude. Prior to that, we'll be doing that moving forward, but we worked with a DPW who is responsible for making the repairs within the school system. So if there's an Ansel system down, whoever the city has engaged as a contractor to fix them comes out and inspects them, cleans them, does whatever it takes to get them up and running. But prior to that, we were working through DPW, but with the implement of School Dude, It'll be an open forum where everybody can go into School Dude and see where each item sits with each school and how we can move forward to get the items knocked off the repair list.
So here's how it works where most government agencies work, except for, seems like the city of Lowell. Someone comes, an inspector, yourself. They come, we have a backflow inspector who comes in. We walk with him, he says these things are wrong. Before the reports are here, we already know, okay, we're getting these fixed. It says here, inspector creates necessary report and emails report to Director of Development Services. There's the first email. Then it says 3, Director of Development Services will email a report to the Building Commissioner, the Commissioner of Public Works, the Commissioner of Lands and Buildings, Director of the Health Department, Director of the School Facilities, representative from Aramark, and Mr. Machado, and Director Rose. Does anybody understand that? Do these people really need to see these things? And are we wasting time when, if you email it to one person and you set up another inspection, that the person should have it done by the time you come back? They call you right back and you go back in. I'm just thinking we're wasting a lot of time here that most places don't do. One person walks through with the inspector. They write down the things that are wrong before the report. They call. When the report comes in, they check off and they say, all right, we're ready for you back. And it's not you. It's just the way that this outline is here. It just seems like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people who need an email to get, there's a fire extinguisher that's out of date inspected.
If I could speak to that, Counselor, all those people are kept in the loop, but it's the immediate personnel, meaning the inspector who was involved in the inspection, the fire inspector that was, and they follow through on it. For those that are in DPW, they're notified of the deficiencies, but it's more of a checks and balances so that all the departments that are on that list know what's going on.
Yeah.
If they have any questions, they can come back to us and find out where we're at.
It really doesn't make sense to me. If this is the report, but who out of all of this is responsible for fixing when you send it over? That's what I'm asking you. You got 7 people, you got 7 things here, and it doesn't say who is responsible for the kitchens. That's what I asked for. And the response was, who is responsible for the maintenance of the kitchens and addressing the violations in a timely manner? I didn't get any of that. I got who inspected it and who the email goes to. So there's nobody who's really responsible except this person gets that one, that one gets that one, this one gets that.
Assistant City Manager want to respond to that.
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. It is convoluted. The hood systems itself fall under Aramark. The actual fire extinguishers, the tag on the fire extinguishers fall under the school department, and the general maintenance of the kitchens fall under DPW.
So why would the hoods fall under Aramark when it's a city facility?
Yeah,
When it's our building, so it's really our responsibility.
It's in
We have Aramark at Greater Lowell, but they're not in charge of those hood systems. We have to do it. And that's what I'm saying to you, is if it's your building, you're going to be held responsible. You should be the one responsible for it. Whether it's in their contract or not, it's your responsibility. So if it is their responsibility, whoever is in charge of maintenance should go through those long before his inspection department goes through there and says, Mr. Aramark, you need to get this fixed before he gets there so that his team walks through and says this is done. So that's, if you could revise this and get back to me with it, because I just think we're going right down the same thing, and it will be the same areas, everyone's pointing across again, like we have all the time. And that's why we need a facilities department to put all these things together and try to make it work. So if we can just revise it and put it down, the email, the person responsible for the maintenance, if it's Aramark, which I'm having a hard time believing why Aramark would be for the Ansel system within any school, but I understand it's part of their contract, but it's your facility. So somebody should actually inspect it before they come. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Motion respond H, Affordable Home Act. Councillor Chines.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. First, I'd like to just thank DPD for the response here. I think there's a lot of good information here, most important of which is that the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, we're still waiting on them to issue guidelines or promulgate regulations to administer the paragraph of Section 8. And so because of that, I think the best thing to do with this report is to refer it to the zoning subcommittee. They don't need to take any action with it, but if and when it comes time for them to do something, at least they have this report to reference. So I'd like to make a motion to refer to the zoning subcommittee.
And Councillor Janes made the motion to refer to the zoning subcommittee, second by Councillor Chow. All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. That's it, right, Mr. Councillor? Right. Motion respond aye. Veterans Park, Councillor Mercier.
Thank you for the update and the response, especially the response. Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
ma'am.
Giovanni. Thank you.
Thank you. The last motion respond J, vertical construction, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I appreciate this report, but if you wouldn't mind taking it back, I wasn't necessarily, when I filed this back in February, it wasn't really about construction materials and prices, that although that's part of conversations we're having currently. This was more so, what are some of the limiting factors? So I know in certain areas of the city, we have historic things that prohibit vertical construction to a certain point. Airspace, shared airspace, like that's when I filed this, we weren't even talking about construction materials. It was more so, what are some of the limiting factors on vertical construction in the city when you start going up? I mean, although obviously the expenses, the cost of materials is a part of it, but I know there are other restrictions that are in place throughout the city based on the zoning. And so I was talking about overall, a kind of a summary as to what probably DPD does. It knows like the back of their hand. When you're looking at different zoning, what are some of the limiting factors that we have to look at and be mindful of when we're looking? Yeah, on vertical construction, correct, going higher up above. In this zone, it's allowed up to a certain story because of this. In this kind of zoning, it's this, so I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Any response? Thank you. That's conclude the communication. We have dealt with a 4.2 information report. Now, 4.3 communication, appointment of Sean Mulligan to Cemetery Commission. Motion to accept and place on file by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Getchie. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I have the
Mr.
out-of-state travel.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Bundle.
Oh, are we?
No, we have one more.
Oh, we have.
We have
one
the,
more.
I don't know, you receive in your package the out-of-state travel request by DPD? I know it's not on. Well, if I may suspend the rule to put the out-of-state travel by DPD. Everybody look at me kind of strange.
We don't have it.
No,
If it's not on the agenda, we can't just take it up.
okay, Monsieur Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Councilors, I think what we're asking is to suspend the rules, requesting the permission of the environmental planner within the Department of Planning and Development to attend the Northeast Sustainability Community Workshop in 2024. This was omitted. DPD has the funding to travel for the travel expenses. The person attending to this registration fee is $150. The hotel is $232. But for 2 nights, conference parking is $46. The mileage, because the person's going to be driving, is $335 for a grand total of $1,122. We can bring this back next week, but we just wanted to be timely on this. But it is
Motion to approve.
Okay.
You need that? Motion to approve.
That's okay.
Do a roll call, maybe.
Well, I need a second.
Second.
Who's second? Councillor Chow second the motion.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you.
Council Vice Chair Yem.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota.
Yes.
Council Getchia.
Yes.
Council Janes.
Present.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
If we could suspend since we're under suspension of the rules.
Yes, ma'am.
Could we bundle 6.1 and 6.5? These are the votes tonight.
Yes, I'm planning to ask to bundle the 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.5 all together, and then go through that.
Okay.
But that's after we. I need
Mr.
a
Vice
motion
Mayor?
to accept. Yes.
I just ask on the vote that we just took to approve out-of-state travel, would it be possible maybe they email the council a copy of that, or just so we have it for our own records? I mean, it's no concern.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we will. The manager, you hear that, right? Mr. Baldwin, you heard the. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I need a motion to accept and place on files all the communications.
Mr.
that
Vice
we
Mayor,
had.
could I just ask one question about
Yes, sir.
5.3 communication appointment of Sean Mulligan to the Cemetery Commission? For you to Mr. Geary, shouldn't we take a voice vote on that?
The motion to accept
On the
place
appointment
file
of Sean Mulligan to the Cemetery Commission?
is a
Shouldn't-
6.3. So
That's 5.3.
I
We-
don't know, if under the statute, I don't think notification, I don't think a roll call is required.
required.
But we can take a roll call.
Okay, no, if it's not
But it-
required, did we take a voice? Okay, I'm all set, thank you.
yes. All right. So yes, that's what the motion to accept and place on file by Councillor Robinson, and then second by Councillor Getchia. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried on the 5.3. And then I need a motion to accept and place on file all the communications that we went through previously, and motion by Councillor Mercier and second by Councillor Scott. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? All the motion carried. Thank you. Again, go back to the vote from the manager. I need a motion to bundle count 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.5. And I know by Councillor Mercier, you, and then second by Councillor Belanger. Okay. 6.1, vote to allocate 61,769 opioid settlement fund. 6.2, vote authorize city manager enter license agreement with Lazy Cat Lounge LLC. 6.3, vote to authorize city manager to enter temporary access agreement with Boys and Girls Club. 6.5, license agreement on Hurd Street. I'll waive the full reading, second reading by title. I need motion to adopt by Councillor Chow and second by Councillor Dakota. A roll call, please, Mr. Clerk.
Can I have a?
Councillor Scott.
I just had one question on
Sure.
6.1.
Take you on. Hold on.
What kind of car are we buying through you to the manager for $11,169? Or the CFO? What kind of car are we getting?
I thought 61. Just, Mr. CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the health director is here. We talked about this before, but it's a used vehicle.
Yes. Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Council. It's just a small used Chevy Sonic. It has 45,000 miles on it. We're just looking for a small car for the co-op.
The co-op.
I just think that, is there funds in there to purchase something that's new? Or are we,
We
there's
don't.
not enough funds? Okay.
The co-op's just looking for a second vehicle. We actually have a nicer vehicle, Ford Explorer that they use. So because the co-op relocated from Summer Street to 107 Merrimack Street, they just need a second vehicle in case they need to move around. They don't necessarily need to move the whole team.
No, I understand that, but I'm always leery of buying someone else's headache and bringing it into government at that kind of, like 40,000
We could put it on hold. We do have one vehicle right now. We could put it on hold if you'd like to.
That's just my take on it, is if you're buying something that's someone else's headache, we have a lot of pieces of equipment in this city. Can we take on something else like that without warranties and everything? That's all. That was just my question. I don't know, I'll let the others speak, people want to speak.
Thank you. Councillor Belanger first, and then Councillor Robinson, before we take a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I just think it's worthy to point out, the purchase funds for these vehicles come from opioid settlement money from the pharmaceutical companies who basically created this mess known as the drug awareness overdose epidemic that's been hitting this country very hard. So that's where the money's coming from, the opioid settlement money. We're getting 2 vehicles, one for the syringe collection and the other for the co-op team. Question for the health director, is the co-op team, is this a transport vehicle for
It's not-
clients on the field, or what's this utilized for?
It's just going to transport the team. It's not going to transport anybody else.
Okay.
The vehicle that we have, the Ford Explorer that we have right now could transport clients. This one is not going to transport clients.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to another transport. I mean, we're going to have 1.1 remaining in the settlement fund, so please, whatever we need for this task, don't hesitate to do an ask to this council. I think it's great expenditure of funds, courtesy of the pharmaceutical company. So I think it bears mentioning, Mr. Vice Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Mercier.
Thank you. I know this talk about 11,000. We could laugh about that, but here's the deal. I have a 2012, so it's newer than my car, and I get around the city. I don't have the luxury of having a mechanic, but the city has capable mechanics. I think they do a good job. So I wish we could get them at 2025, but we can't. And I know the co-op team, and they'll be grateful instead of walking to have a ride.
I wasn't looking to be greedy. I'm looking for a $50,000 cargo van for the assistant syringe coordinator, so I wasn't looking to be greedy. I'm a little frugal.
Councilor Scott first, and then Councilor Robinson, sorry. Councilor Robinson, Councilor Scott, and back to Councilor Getchia.
Thank you. If this is timely, I have no problem, but I agree. If there's a means, obviously we need the $50,000 van for the syringes. That's no dispute. If there's the means, though, I mean, could we look to get it new? Because again, service. You're talking warranty. You're talking a service plan. We've had discussions about expanding on the co-op team. I mean, we're going to spend 11.1 with who knows what for reinvestment for the upkeep to keep it on the road. And then if we do decide to expand on the co-op team in the near future, then we're back to square one. Whereas if we can find the means to purchase something newer and more fitting to that situation, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. And I think if that's something that my colleagues would be willing to consider, let's do it. If this is something timely that you need, like next week, I'm flexible either way. I know the work you guys do is greatly appreciated. I just think that you're hearing from a couple of us so far that let's get a new vehicle if at all possible. I mean, and without having to burden our mechanics that have a heavy lift already with the stuff that we're asking them to keep up with. Get something new with its own service package. Thank you.
Councilor Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I was actually just going to ask if we could remove the $11,169 vehicle and move forward with the motion at this point in time. Ms. Golden already stated that she's okay with that at this time, bringing it back, so we could move forward with that. Thank you.
Getchia, you still want to make comments?
I would agree with Councilor Scott that, you know, it's a 2016 with 40,000 miles. Sometimes a car sitting is as bad as high mileage, and when you start looking at these things, this could be a tough purchase. I do agree with the health director's point is she's trying to save money, but these things sitting is bad. And Councilor Mercia, you know, I would buy a car off of her because she maintained it, and I know her. But when you look at other people, I don't know 40,000 miles sitting a Sonic, it's, you know, not a desirable vehicle.
So let's do a roll call. So we just allow
Thank you.
the manager to come up with additional funding.
If I may, Mr. Vice Chair, I don't know the substance of the vote, but does this, we pulling it out, cause any other stuff for the funding on the vote? Or is it just better to remove the whole vote and bring it back?
CFO, Mr. CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may, because these purchases are together in one vote, the recommendation would be to remove the vote. We can bring it back at a later time and purchase the cargo van at a later time.
That's just on the 6.1, right?
That's right, Mr. Chair, 6.1.
So I need a motion to take 6.1 out of order and then put... Okay, motion to remove the vote on a 6.1. by Councillor Dakota and second by Councillor Jeunesse. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Clerk.
Now the roll calls, just the roll calls on the remaining 6.2, 6.3, and 6.5.
Yes. Roll call.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Vice Chair Yam.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Getchia.
Yes.
Councilor Jeunesse.
Yes.
Councilor Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
I'll set 6.4, vote authorize city manager to send notice of hearing. Give first reading, motion to refer to public hearing on October 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. by Councilor Mercier and second by Councilor Scott. We need a roll call. All in favor say aye, opposed, the motion carried. 7, orders from city manager. 7.1, order of taking Westford and Stedman project. Waive full reading. Second. Yeah. To take by eminent domain permanent and temporary easement in certain parcel of land in the city of Lowell for municipal purposes, namely the furtherance of the Westford Street and Stedman Street intersection signalization project. Motion to adopt by...
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If I could, I want to thank Ms. Altman for her work. I think she's already left, but it's good to see that this project's come to fruition. It's been a long time, and sad to say this took a little bit longer, all for $7,000. But maybe to you, city managers, we're looking at a spring date to start this, or?
Okay, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the council, I would get that information from Ms. Altman, and I'll send it to you as far as the exact date. I would like to say yes this spring, but
She did an outstanding job, and it's
been a great opportunity. It's been a long time coming.
Highland residents appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilor Getchia.
Through you to Ms. Baez-Rose, we want to thank your staff and also the manager. I know when we first put in this motion 2 years ago, it was a challenge looking at all of this, and we were looking at maybe making a full way because we were looking at the development over there, and we started looking at making that right-hand turn coming down Stedman Street, and it was your hard work that took our motion seriously and pushed this to another level, and actually it is now fruition is going to come. And I think last time we were here, we spoke about as long as this happened quickly, it was a springtime project. So please thank your staff and everybody who was involved in it, because this is an important piece for the Highlands neighborhood to get that Stedman Street moving and make it much more safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I need a motion to adopt by Councillor Jeunesse and second by Councillor Getchia. All in favor, say aye.
I need a roll call.
Need a roll call.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Vice Chair Yam.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Getchia.
Yes.
Councilor Jeunesse. Councilor Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Thank you. 8, report subcommittee. Chairman Getchia, you want to do a report today or next week? Thank you. Now, 8.2 wide inspection. Motion to accept and adopted company orders by Councillor Getchia and second by Councillor Robinson.
Mr. Vice Mayor, could we bundle 9.1 and 9.2 also, please?
9.1, 9.2. Motion by Councillor Getchia to bundle 191, 9.1, 9.2 together.
Second.
Second by Councillor Robinson. 9.1, miscellaneous Richard Lepine, removal of a handicap sign in front of 96 Coburn Street. Motion to refer to the engineer report for report and recommendation by Councillor Robinson and second by Councillor Dakota. 9.2 Boston Gas, DBA National Grid, request replacement existing gas main at 789-940 Chelmsford Street to facilitate ties in. Give first reading, motion to refer to public hearing on October 8, 2024 at 7 p.m. by Councillor Chow and second by Councillor Belanger. 10. City Council Executive Session. 10.1 Executive Session to consider and discuss ongoing negotiation relative to Lowell Companies LLC, public discussion of which could have detriment effect on the city's position, and further to consider and discuss possibility acquisition of property, public discussions of which may have detriment effect on the negotiating position of the city. Motion to enter the executive section and adjourn from there by Councillor Dakota and second by Councillor Belanger. Do we need a roll call?
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Vice Chair Young.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Gitchia.
Yes.
Councilor Janess.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia. Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Any announcement before we adjourn? I need a motion to adjourn.
No motion to.
No motion to adjourn. I just want to make comment congratulations to our own Miss Belle Dominguez on her nomination to El Mondo's Boston Heroes in the Community. She was honored at the El Mondo Boston Hispanic Heritage Breakfast in Boston this past September 2024. Congratulations to Miss Dominguez.
One more thing, Cavallo Field ribbon cutting next Tuesday, 5 o'clock, Pauley Stadium, Cavallo Field.
Okay, all sense. All right, adjourn. The meeting adjourned, and we'll meet you at the council. I wish it should be done by now. Hey, what can you do, right?
Hey, my little darling.